Fear is the biggest challenge you're actually facing. Not the person in front of you, not the argument, not the situation. It's fear itself. Here's why. In moments of confrontation, your brain temporarily stops the thinking process and prioritizes survival. It's an ancient reflex, a survival mechanism hardwired into your nervous system, passed down from ancestors who ran from predators, not boardroom tension or relationship conflict. But in the modern world, that same reflex betrays you. Because today, fear doesn't protect you, it controls you. And unless you rewire your brain's fear response, you'll keep reacting instead of leading. That's why today, I'll help you master the void mindset, the mental state used by great legends to win duels, now proven by neuroscience to win the battles of everyday life. Now picture a man who faced 60 life-or-death duels and never lost. His name was Miyamoto Musashi, and his secret wasn't a hidden technique or superhuman strength. It was a state of mind he called the void, and it's a tool you can learn to use to stay 3 steps ahead in any conflict. This isn't just a history lesson, this is the user's manual for your brain that you were never given. Section 1. The Undefeated Master of the Mind. When we hear Miyamoto Musashi, we think of a legendary swordsman from feudal Japan. Musashi wasn't just a master of the blade, he was also a master of psychology, a strategist who knew that every single battle is first won or lost inside the mind. From his first duel at age 13, Musashi fought and won over 60 contests, often against multiple opponents or famous masters. He documented his strategies in his masterpiece, The Book of Five Rings. But here's the secret. It's not really about sword fighting, it's a deep dive into the philosophy of winning that works for any conflict, whether on a battlefield or in a boardroom. Musashi taught that the biggest opponent you'll ever face isn't the person in front of you. It's the battlefield in your own mind, your fear, your anger, your hesitation. Section 2. The modern battlefield, your brain under fire. To understand Musashi's genius, we need to look at what's happening in our own heads during a conflict. Modern neuroscience has mapped the very chaos Musashi learned to conquer. The second you perceive a threat, an angry client, a critical boss, your brain's alarm system, the amygdala, starts blaring. Think of the amygdala as your brain's smoke detector. The problem is it can't tell the difference between a house fire and a piece of burnt toast. It pulls the same 5-alarm fire bell for a nasty email as it does for a charging tiger. It floods your system with stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. Your heart rate spikes and your breathing gets shallow. But the most dangerous part is what neuroscientist Dr. Daniel Siegel calls flipping your lid. That flood of stress hormones is so powerful it effectively shuts down your prefrontal cortex, the logical, rational part of your brain. Imagine the CEO of your brain being thrown out of the office, while the panicked intern in the mailroom starts making all the decisions. You're not in charge anymore. You're being driven by ancient reactive survival instincts. In this state, you can't think clearly, you can't listen, and you can't strategize. You're predictable and vulnerable. Musashi knew this internal chaos was the real enemy. To win the fight, he first had to win control over himself. Section 3. The secret weapon. The void mind. So how did he do it? Musashi's secret is a concept he called the spirit of the void. This is the peak of his philosophy. Now, when we hear void, we might think of an empty black vacuum, but that's not it. For Musashi, the void is more like a perfectly still, clear lake. It isn't empty. It reflects everything around it perfectly, without distortion. It's a state of pure potential, a mind not weighed down by the mud of biases or emotional baggage. In this state, your mind isn't clouded by fear or ego. You see things exactly as they are. This creates a powerful shift in your awareness. Instead of identifying with your emotions, you simply observe them. It's the difference between being caught in a raging river versus standing on the riverbank watching it flow by. When you say, "I am angry," you're in the water being tossed around. But when you say, "I notice the feeling of anger arising in me," you've stepped onto the bank. You see the emotion, acknowledge it, and let it pass without sweeping you away. That tiny gap is where you get your power back. Modern therapies like ACT are built on this exact principle, which they call cognitive diffusion. Musashi figured this out 400 years ago. By developing this void mind, he could feel an emotion bubble up without being swept away by it. Section 4. The Path to the Void. 3 Pillars of Power. This might sound mystical, but Musashi's teachings give us a clear, practical roadmap. It's about practicing 3 core pillars until they become second nature. Pillar 1. Master your internal state, the physiological reset. You can't control what's happening around you until you control what's happening inside you. Your body and mind are connected like a computer's hardware and software. If the hardware overheats, the software crashes. Musashi was a master of this, and his most legendary duel against Sasaki Kojiro proves it. On the day of the duel, Musashi arrived late and disheveled, wielding a wooden sword carved from an oar, each detail a deliberate tactic to unnerve Kojiro. Enraged and off balance, Kojiro struck first in anger. Calm and in control, Musashi won before the fight began. How do we do this? We use our breath. It's your body's cooling fan. Slow, controlled breathing, especially with a longer exhale, activates the vagus nerve, which is the off switch for your body's fight or flight response. The technique is simple. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4. Then exhale slowly for 6 to 8 seconds. Doing this for just 1 minute physically lowers stress hormones and brings your rational mind back online. Before a tough meeting, take 1 minute. Reset your physiology. Master your breath, and you master your internal state. Pillar 2. Detach from the outcome, the emotional firewall. Our stress in any conflict comes from being afraid of losing the argument, losing face, losing respect. This obsession with winning is like being in a tug of war with your own ego. The harder you pull, the more exhausted you become. Musashi's solution: let go of the rope. In his final writings, he wrote, "Accept everything just the way it is, and be detached from desire your whole life long." This isn't passive, it's a strategic tool. The most powerful version of this is Musashi's advice to fight as if already dead. This sounds grim, but it's incredibly liberating. It's like playing a video game after you've already lost your last life. The pressure is gone. You're free to play boldly, creatively, without the fear of the game over screen. By mentally letting go of the need to win, you disarm fear itself. Before a job interview, tell yourself, "I might not get this job, and that's okay." This doesn't mean you plan to fail. It means you eliminate the fear of failure. Paradoxically, accepting the worst frees you to perform at your best. You stop trying to control the outcome and focus on what you can control, your actions right now. Pillar 3. See the unseen, pattern recognition and strategic action. Once you've calmed your body and detached from the outcome, you can turn your full attention outward. It's like putting on glasses that let you see the hidden code behind the chaos. Under stress, people fall into predictable patterns, the 4 F's of stress response: fight, aggressive, blaming and intimidating; flight, avoidance, changing the subject or backing away; freeze, shutting down, going quiet and making no eye contact; fawn, people-pleasing, agreeing too quickly to diffuse the conflict. With your mind in that calm void state, you can use the Musashi protocol to handle any of these. First, observe and silently label. When you see the behavior, just label it in your head. He's in fight mode. This act engages your rational brain and solidifies you as the calm observer. Second, use the strategic pause. After a challenging statement, wait 3 full seconds before you respond. Silence is a vacuum that most people rush to fill, often revealing more than they intended or softening their position. The pause gives you time to think and denies them an immediate emotional reaction. Third, deploy the psychological redirect. Don't meet force with force. Redirect their emotional energy. If someone says, "You're being completely selfish," instead of arguing, validate their feeling. "It sounds like you feel your needs aren't being heard right now." This proves you're listening and brilliantly turns a fight into a problem-solving session. Section 5. The ultimate advantage. Living 3 steps ahead. When you integrate these pillars, you start to live with a void mind. You stop being a leaf blown around by the winds of other people's emotions and become the tree, rooted and calm. You begin to see conflicts brewing before they erupt. You can sense the unspoken need behind an angry outburst. You're no longer a chess piece being knocked around the board by chaotic emotions. You become the player who sees the entire game, anticipating moves before they are ever made. That's what it means to be 3 steps ahead. The true victory Musashi spoke of wasn't beating an opponent, it was beating the need for a battle in the first place. When you can hold your inner calm while the world is in chaos, you have an almost unfair advantage. You become more influential, more persuasive, and more resilient, not by being louder, but by being clearer. CTA. If you're ready to stop being reactive and start living with intention, the journey starts with a single conscious breath. And if this way of thinking resonates with you, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you don't miss our next dive into the minds that shaped history. In the end, the legend of Miyamoto Musashi isn't about the 60 men he defeated. It's about the one man he completely conquered, himself. His power came not from the steel of his swords, but from the stillness of his mind. He taught us that true strength isn't forcing your will on the world, but mastering your own inner storm. That storm can't touch a mind that has found its center. The void isn't nothingness, it's the quiet, clear space where all wise action is born. It's the operating system for an unbeatable mind.